يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والحمد لله الذي كان بعباده خبيرا بصيرا وتبارك جعل في سماء بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا وقمرا منيرا وهو رب كل مكان. أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وهو حق أن يحمد وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له رب البرايات وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد السادات صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. عباد الله، إن الله تبارك وتعالى يقول: يا أهل الكتاب قد جاءكم رسولنا يبين لكم كثيرا مما كنتم تخفون من الكتاب ويعفو عن كثير قد جاءكم من الله نور وكتاب مبين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. واصبر لحكم ربك فإنك بأعيننا وسبح بحمد ربك حين تقوم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. We thank Allah. We are sincerely grateful to the one, the unique, the one that with all his servants, he knows what they are doing and he sees what they are doing. Glory be to He, the one that has put in the sky stars as light, and that has put also moon that also illuminates. He is the Lord of all the places. We thank Him once again because He's the only one that deserves to be thanked. We testify that there is no other deity worthy of worship beside Allah, the one, the unique, the creator of all the creatures. We also testify that our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam is His messenger and servant, the leader of all successful ones. Peace and blessing of Allah be upon Him, those who follow Him, members of His household until the day of Qiyamah. O servant of Allah, Allah tells us in the Holy Quran that, O you, the people of the book, that a messenger has come to you that is making clear all those things which you are hiding and all the things that you are overlooking. Allah says, a light has come to you from Allah and a book that is of clear proof. O you who believe, be patient, persevere, and you be united, and you fear Allah so that you can be successful. Allah also tells us that we should be patient with the judgment of Allah, and you should know that you are within the eyes of Allah, and you should glorify Allah each time you stand up. So you who believe, fear Allah, and always say the right thing at the right time. If you do this, Allah will cleanse you of your bad work. He forgives you of your sin, and whomsoever follow Allah and His messenger has indeed been given the greatest of all the gifts. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We thank Allah and that we are sincerely grateful to Him, the one in whose hand is our life, the one that has decided to create us the way He feels. He is our guardian, He is our protector, He is our provider. We thank Him once again for all His blessings on us. Today, I'm going to discuss a topic. I just put it, evolution and contemporary issues on religion in Nigeria. I repeat, evolution and contemporary issues on religion in Nigeria. Why did I decide to discuss this topic? If you have been following what is happening in our country in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, you will see some people who claim to be men of God, and they began to insult the Muslim. They began to insult the polity as if they know something. And we have decided that we are not going to join issue with them, but we are going to teach them what they don't know. And that is the reason why we have decided to choose this topic. Let me start from the religion itself. What is religion? Wikipedia defines religion, says that it may be defined as a cultural system of designated behaviors and practices, worldviews, texts, sanctified places, prophecies, ethics, or organization that relates to humanity, to supernatural, transcendental, or spiritual elements. But that is just one definition. But there are so many other definitions of religion. But from Islam, in a simple meaning, it is just how, when, where, and what of a man's relationship with his creator, including non-human beings. The way you understand your God will determine the way you relate with him, both in the open and in the secret. That is when Allah quoted in that verse I quoted earlier on, that Allah says he has come to you, that all those things you used to hide and all those things that you overlook based on the way you know your God. Religion is as old as human beings, even could be older than human beings if we follow the teachings of the glorious Quran. Going through verse 30 of chapter 2 of the glorious Quran, we will know that religion is even more older than human being. When Allah created Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, and our grandmothers, Sayyida Hawa, the only religion he gave them was, and still, monotheistic worship, which is Islam. When Allah said, Inna dina indallah al-Islam, that certainly the only religion that is acceptable before Allah is the religion of Islam. Like any other aspect of man, over the years, the pure worship of Allah degenerated, that people began to look for any other things as object of worship. They choose tree, they choose river, they choose animal, some even choose human being, and so many other things as their own God. But to restore the true meaning and practice, Allah sent different prophets and messengers to different people at different times and ages. Some of the time, the coming of the messenger resulted in the creation of another religion. For example, Sayyidina Ibrahim, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. If you notice, their coming brought new religion. But yet, that was not their teaching. Religion, if you now look at it, in our own country, Nigeria, that the different types of worshiping of other creatures became widespread in all the known parts of the world, including the place that is now known as Nigeria. Before the coming of the colonial masters, the religion of our people up to 10th century were idol worshipping. But since around early 10th century, we began to have interaction with early Arab Muslims, Arab Muslim traders, and the evolution of early Sudanese empires also gave us the opportunity of coming in contact with Islam at a very early stage. No wonder the Muslims in Yoruba land, they came in contact with the Mali people. Hence, the early name that they know Muslims with is those people who worship the religion of the people of Mali. They call them a lesson in Mali, which means people who follow the religion of the people of Mali. That was the earliest name they give the Muslim in Yoruba land. Then the Kanem-Borno Empire is also a testimony to this. The Usman Dan Fodio Jihad and eventual revival of Islam in what is now known as northern Nigeria. Also, in Yoruba land, around 16th, 17th, and 18th century, Islam has been firmly rooted to the extent that there was a Sharia court in many parts of Yoruba land, especially Iwo in the present-day Osun State, also Ede and Ikirun. Up to today, they still have families that they are the ones that are in charge of Sharia courts. They call them Ile Alalikali, that is the house of the head of the judges, for record purposes. And for those who might not know, Islam came to Lagos so many years before it got to other parts of Nigeria. Also, the first mosque that was built in Nigeria in the history was built in Oyo Ajaka, which was built in 1553, while the Kano Mosque was built in 1583. But it is being reported by most history books as the first one, which is that of Kano. But whichever that is, Islam came to Nigeria around 16th century. We have had mosques that are functioning in Nigeria. Compared to Christianity that came to Nigeria in the late 18th century, it might also interest you for you to know that the first church in Nigeria was built in 1898. The Cathedral of St. Peter's Church, which is the first church in Nigeria, is located in a place called Ake in Abeokuta, Ogun State. It was built by a Portuguese, André de Salu Wilhelm, with just rough estimates. Islam was almost 300 years old in Nigeria before the first coming of a single Christian in Nigeria. I want you to have that one at your hand. 300 years difference that we have been praying before one white man came here and they came with their religion. Now, let me ask you a question. If you are, let's say, you are 1,000 people that you are living in a town, and 10 people came in and began to beat all of you in your town, and these people that are beating you, they began to cry that you want to convert all of them to the way in which you live. Who wants to convert who? Is it people who have been living in their country that they didn't come to you, or you that come to them and you want them to do what you are doing and you are crying? Probably because many of the religious leaders in Christianity does not know history. If you ever imagine any religion trying to assimilate each other, it is definitely Christian that want to assimilate, that want to annihilate, that want to exterminate the religion of Islam. That is the religion of Islam that accepted them, and the religion of Islam that received them, and this is the religion that also accommodated them in our country called Nigeria. Even in the Mebokas in Yoruba land, in their treatise, there is a particular line that says the existence of Islam. They used to say it, Aye labafa, Aye labamale osangangan nigbagbo. That Islam has been there before history. The Mbeokas too, they have been there before history, but it is Christianity that just came before our own eyes, and they want to take over everything. Religion. If you now look at the way our country is during the colonial masters, around early 19th century, when the colonial master came, things began to change. I must quickly say that the colonial master came with three purposes. The most important one was to stop the spread of Islam. Then secondly, for economy. And lastly, adventure. When the colonial master came, they began to establish what is now known as Western schools. In the schools established, they don't admit the Muslim children unless they change their religion and they change their name. It led to massive Christianization of Muslim children in southwestern Nigeria. Most people you see as big men in southwest today that are Christian, most of them, they're actually originally Muslims. Perhaps if you do not know, the man who owns FCMB Bank is a Muslim, but because he went to a Christian school, that's how they converted him to Christianity. Then, when this problem began, the Yoruba Muslim began to plan for them, although it was not enough. In most parts of Nigeria, the Christians established schools, hospitals in the name of churches, e.g. St. Finebanks College, St. Barnabas Hospital, Our Lady of Fatima, all to serve as psychological and physiological warfare on the personality of the Muslims. Then, during the transition from colonial rule to the early independent years, the Muslims began to be proactive but peaceful in fighting the Christianization of the polity and all other aspects. The first to attack the leaders around 1947 were the Ansaruddin people when they started their organization in 1923. And by 1957, 1957, they forced the government that we are paying tax, we are doing everything you ask us to do. Why is it that there is no Islamic studies in any schools? they now forced the government under Awolowo then in 1957 that they must introduce Islamic studies in most schools. Hence, the first teachers were appointed to teach Islamic studies. With gratitude to Allah, some of our parents are one of those teachers in that time. Secondly, the Muslims under the fierce but highly exposed and well-educated Sheikh Ali Kinla, established the first Islamic party in Nigeria, Hizbullah Legali, in Ibadan, to challenge the status quo. They really made a lot of impact then, but the government has to establish a pseudo-Islamic organization to suppress Hizbullah Legali. Incidentally, I just noticed one of the children of the Secretary General of HLA that just entering the mosque now. And also, as at that time, the Muslims, we need to check ourselves. We are now fighting about the time whether Maulud is Sunnah or not. As at that time, our forefathers, they fought that Muslim must be recognized because every week, Christian has 2 days of holidays. They still have, it means in a year, they have about 52 times 2 days as holidays. A Muslim does not have just one. Our early Muslim, they fought that they needed more holidays, and they gave them the day of Maulud. Now we began to even fight ourselves. Maulud is Bid'ah, Maulud is this. Because those who are talking like that, they do not even know the history, when and how Nigeria began to have that holiday. Unfortunately, we allow people, those who are to destroy us, to think for us. We now began to think of something that does not have any direct in our life. I always ask those who always complain about Maulud. Even Tarawih we are praying in Ramadan. How many times did the Prophet did it? When the Prophet was doing it, he ran away that he did not want people to be doing it. If the Prophet can do that, what does it stop us? If people are doing Maulud to give Islam a better color, but all what we need to do is to be abusing ourselves, Allah will judge. In late independence years, after the discovery of oil, around 1976, church became a big entertainment business. And they were using it to convert the Muslim children. The Muslim reacted by the establishment of different Islamic organizations who were also involved in singing to sustain the interests of the Muslim children and the youth. Hence, the establishment of organizations like Yumbas and Jaina, Night Brosses, Assembly of Muslim Youth, and Islamic Leaders, and many more of them. Later, around late 1990s, to the 20,000 years, the church turned to super social and commercial gathering. The Muslim also reacted with the equivalent organization. That was the time that organizations like Nasfat began. Qorib also began, so that they will be able to match these people that are taking the interest of the young ones among us. But now, the dimension of the church and the planned Christianization is, but now the dimension of the church and the plan is the serious commercialization and politicization of everything from the church. That is, the church now became political center. Mega churches grew and they control millions of dollars. They control so many businesses, and they were being patronized by government massively. They have the ears of the presidents. They have the ears of the governors. They have the ears of those who control things. They look, they judge, they preach prosperity, because prosperity is tied and linked with power. When they have prosperity, they will have power. The two must be within their reach at all the time. If a Muslim is patronizing them, he is godly. If a Christian is not patronizing them, he is evil. If they get money from you, you are godly. If you deprive them of money, you are evil. If they control you based on their interest, you are godly. If you stand on your own and you are not listening to them, you are a devil. Today, these prosperity clergymen want to deceitfully Christianize everything. I do not know whether you remember during the late President Sani Abacha, when the Pope came to Nigeria. You know, that was the time they got that big land along Kubwa Road. They just asked them to use it temporarily, and up to today, they didn't return it. It is now a big center for them. But yet, we never complain. They see anybody that is not on the same page with them as evil. But if you look at most of them, you will discover they are not friends to Jesus Christ. They do not follow Jesus Christ. They are only controlling people. Many of them, they are super ignorant. That they are just controlling their sheep, their followers, through diabolic powers. Recently, many of these pastors, especially Pastor Yodeko of Winners Church and Pastor Paul Idoko Eneche of Dunamis Church, spit fire on us. They spoke out of frustrations of what eludes them. They spoke based on selfish pain in their heart. They spoke about incidents they do not know anything about. They accused Kaduna State Governor and President of Nigeria of planning to Islamize Nigeria. I believe you can now understand who wants to Islamize who. We are here before them. They just came and they say we want to Islamize Nigeria. Is Nigeria not being Islamized before they came? They are the ones that are looking for survivor. They are the ones that are looking for space. And we have given them. But we know Allah will also be there for us. Now, let us look at these people one by one. They accused that they attacked that the first-class Oba was killed. The first-class king was killed in Kaduna. I don't know whether we are all aware of the man that was killed. The man, the chief of Kafancha that was killed. Do we all know the time that the man was killed? When he was kidnapped. And also, the pastor in Dunamis also said the same thing. But the thing that I just want us to know, Wallahi thumma billahi alayhi al-azim, I met Agom Adara 3 days before he was killed. He was in Kaduna. He was not in Kacha the way they used to say that he was invited. He was in Kaduna on his own. I was on a particular peace mission. I met him. Anybody that is on Facebook can check my name on Facebook. I posted it incidentally Wednesday when we met him. He was just coming on Friday. They now said the governor invited him for a meeting. And that is why when he was coming, they killed him. Wallahi, it is a lie. I did not read it. I was there. I was part of it. When we met this man, the man was a man of peace. May God, all what he left behind, may Allah be there for him. The man loved peace. I met him and we spoke. That was the day we met him on a Wednesday. We now left. That Wednesday, we left for Kafancha. And on our way to Kafancha, we branched at Kaswamagani, where the crisis started. What led to the crisis was that a boy was arrested, that he stole something, and people began to beat him, and he happens to be a non-Muslim. But he was not being beaten because he's a non-Muslim, because he stole something. As he was running away, he now called his people that the Muslims are beating him. That's how the Christian came. And the thing turned to a war, and they began to kill about 100 people. It was not because somebody is a Muslim or is a Christian. Wallahi lazim, I was there. It was God that saved our life. In 2 hours, they would have killed us too. On our way coming, when we were coming back, the place where the Agom Adara, where he was kidnapped, when they kidnapped him, we got to that place about 5 minutes later. Immediately he was kidnapped. We are the one that parked the dead body on the road. If you see the picture of that scene, you will see a white bus. I was inside that white bus. At the end of the day, 2 other families were kidnapped with Agom Adara. Those who kidnapped him, they are just criminals. It has nothing to do, no relation with what happened in Kaswamagani. And they were now shouting that he was invited. And because he was invited, he was coming. And they now killed him. God was there. God will punish those who are doing that. And we advise them, they should go and study. They should go and find out information. They claim to be men of God. Anybody that wants to speak on behalf of God must be able to understand the thinking and working of God. Those people are not thinking and they are not working for God. They are only thinking of what to eat. They have rough information. They have fake information. They have information that are not correct. They are just abusing people just because of their own interest. And also, they also talk that because they have also appointed somebody who is not a Christian in Kaduna, now we now have a Muslim ticket. Is that new to any of us? Have you forgotten that that thing has been happening in Osun for long? It is happening in Ekiti. As I'm talking to you now, it's happening in Plateau, it's happening in Taraba, it's happening in so many other states in Nigeria. And yet, they think that because it has happened, then we are in problem. They are just joking. But to us as Muslims, I think our own challenge, our problem is that we do not have our own media. The Muslims should work, we should have our media so that we have the right information. But we are still not going to fight or quarrel with them because Allah tells us, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Allah said, the Muslims, the servants of the merciful God, when they walk and they are being attacked, what do they say? They say, peace be unto you. We should be peaceful to them. We should also seek knowledge and we should show them love. We should give them gifts. Perhaps it will change their mind. We are not going to join them in the way they are doing. We are not going to be abusive to them and we will not curse them the way they used to do. But as Muslims, we should continue to pray for Allah's guidance. We should continue to seek for knowledge. We should continue to seek for the right information. The Prophet was reported to have said that Salathatun la tarudu da'watuhu aswahimu ata yuftir imamun adilun wa da'watul mazlum yarfa wallahu faqal gamam. That 3 people's prayer, Allah will not return them. That the way they ask is the way Allah will give them. 1, somebody who is fasting, a just leader, and somebody that has been cheated, and yet they are still making noise that as if he's the one cheating. Allah says when those people pray, Allah will answer their prayers. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idhukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good and liberal to kith and kin. He forbids all sinful deeds, injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmatan innaka antal wahhab. ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وانت خير الفاتحين ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين قوموا الى الله